What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got another round of Keyforge to look at from the Denver Vault Tour. On the left, we have got Dan and his deck, Babaloonaroom, the Marked Urchin. No, we don't. I'm lying to you, ladies and gentlemen. His deck is Chimera, Admin Alchemy, Farrell. That'll be updated in a moment. And on the right, we've also got Dan, although I think that might be updated in a moment, with his deck, Senbao Roscum, Pneumonious Eminence. The deck list will be linked in the description. So on the left, we've got Brobnar, Sanctum, Untamed, and weirdly, some Brobnar cards that can actually do stuff. On the right, we've got a Shadows logo Sanctum deck. Now we're already off, and Dan on the right has played a couple of Mother, which is going to allow him to, will draw 2 extra cards at the end of his turn. That's ridiculous. Along with a Bulwark. Yeah, it gives 2 armor to each of its neighbors. And then we've got Iron Obelisk here as well. That's on the left. Iron Obelisk increases the cost of forging keys by 1 for each damaged Brobnar creature. It can really make a difference in the game, to be perfectly honest with you. So, Dan on the right seems to have had a better start here. He seems to be off to a pretty good go. He's also even got himself a little bit of the Spectral Tunneler down, which is quite nice. Oh, and unfortunately here we see a bunch of exhaustion coming down. A Nocturnal Maneuver, 2 of those in Dan's deck, and they actually exhaust free creatures when you play them. That's pretty gosh darn good. And it's not the only one he's got. Now he does play down a Dust Pixie, which is going to get himself a couple of Ember. That's a huge bonus. And he's up to 3 now, which is pretty tasty. He got 1 for the Nocturnal Maneuver. And as much as Dan on the right has got some decent stuff going on. Oh, no, he's actually here playing a Nature's Call, which returns 3 creatures to their opponent's hand. And, of course, he chooses to get his Dust Pixie back and then play it back down again. Which means he gets to get another 2, which is redonk. Also looks like he might have got his Nepenthe Seed down there. I think that might be his Nepenthe Seed. So, yeah. Lot of good stuff going on Dan. Oh, and Dan on the right has been renamed Steven. Cool. So, now the good news for Steven is he gets a Neurosiphon down. You get to steal an Ember and draw a card, plus you get an Ember bonus. That's quite nice. He does obviously get his second Mother down, which is quite nice. And just a bunch of discarding here. Oh, he's using Sloppy Lab Work. Sloppy Lab Work archives a card and discards a card. Looked like he discarded Speed Sigil. I like Speed Sigil. Speed Sigil makes the first creature going down each turn go down ready, though that does help you and your opponent equally, so I do understand why some people might be slightly reticent to play it. It's not always something that helps just you. So Dust Pixie Reaps, and whenever Dust Pixie Reaps, that's such a huge advantage. You played it down for the 2 Ember, that 1 Dust Pixie has got 5 Ember, and it looks like he's played that Nepenthe Seed to get back his Nature's Call, to take both the Mother off the field, so he can play down the Dust Pixie again and get another 2 Ember. This 1 Dust Pixie is going to get him 7 Ember in the course of 2 turns. That's ridiculous. Except first he's going to Key Charge, because he already had enough Ember. Key Charge you get to play during your turn, and then you lose an Ember and get to forge a key at current cost. Steven's got nothing to increase the cost of forging a key, so Dan here just gets to forge a key, and the great thing is, right, Steven's playing Shadows. Steven's got bait and switch and all these other ways to try and stop his opponent forging, and it doesn't matter. Now Dan plays down the Dust Pixie to get another 2 Ember, and Dan is off here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a really, really strong start. That 1 Dust Pixie has put in so much work. Now it was Dust Pixie and then Nature's Call, and then the Nepenthe Seed to get back Nature's Call, to get back the Dust Pixie. But it doesn't matter. And now Steven's in an awkward situation. Does he go Sanct Logos again? He does, to get both his Mother down. And look, the card advantage he gets from having 2 Mother on the field is great. But sooner or later, he's got to actually get something rolling. Now, he does play a Wild Wormhole, gets him an Ember, and he gets to play the top card of his deck, which is a bad penny. And a second Wild Wormhole. Is that a second Wild Wormhole? No, that was just the one that he played earlier being discarded. Cool. Now, he does have Spectral Tunneler he can use if he so wishes. Lets him choose a creature, and then it's a flank creature and gets Reap, draw a card. So that's kind of cool. Unfortunately, all he's got is Mother, which only just got played down. So we have a Brobnar turn coming down from Dan here. Oh, and Ganger Chieftain comes down, immediately letting him attack with, I want to say that's Bumpsy. There are a couple of Bumpsy in his deck. It's hard seeing it from a weird angle here, but I think that's Bumpsy. And yeah, just immediately takes out a creature. That's pretty huge, ladies and gentlemen. That is pretty huge. So this is a good start. This is a really good start. Or doesn't actually take out the creature because, of course, we've got the 2 armor there, which I'm pretty sure it is Yes, it definitely is Bumpsy. I can see it now. Yeah, of course, don't forget the Bulwark is giving 2 armor to those creatures, so and has armor itself, so hey-ho. So a Champion and Nafiel comes down for Steven here. 6 power, 1 armor, and has got Taunt. It means that Dan cannot attack the Mother on the side of it. It's got to go after Champion and Nafiel first. And look, Steven's got a bunch of Ember down. It's going quite nicely. Now, he does play, I believe that was a Sequest there. So that it's a Raiding Knight, which captures an Ember when you play it. And this is going all right. He also gets Sergeant Zakiel down. When you play it, you may ready and fight with a neighbouring creature. Clearly not going to here because of the whole, it's down with Mother, and he can't, yeah. So, you want to protect your Mother. In life and in Keyforge, incidentally. Now, it looks like the counters are a little bit awkward that Steven's using, but it looks like Steven's got 7 Ember here. And because Dan doesn't have any damaged Brobnar creatures, that means that Steven will be able to forge at the beginning of his next turn. Remember that Iron Obelisk increases the cost of forging by 1 for each damaged Brobnar creature, but there just aren't any. Now, if he's able to play a Hebe the Huge here, he would damage both his Ganger Chieftain and his Bumpsy, which would put Steven up to 8 costs to forge a key. So Hebe the Huge would actually stop Steven forging here. I don't know if Dan's got it. I don't know if Dan wants a Brobnar turn, but Hebe the Huge would do it rather nicely here. Oh, as a side note, it does look like Steven got down his Protect the Weak there. No, it looks like it's a shoulder armor. If you're on the flank, you get +2 armor, +2 power. That makes, well, it's not Champion and Nafiel, it's Raiding Knight, but Raiding Knight becomes a bit of a beast. So, looks like we're just getting some attacking going on here. And it looks like Sergeant Zakiel's being taken out. Sad face, etc. Bumpsy putting in the work. Well, sorry, Ganger Chieftain and Bumpsy putting in the work. And then we see... Is that Bulwark going down as well there? I believe that's Bulwark going down. It's not always the easiest to see, but we do our best. So Dan's decided, look, I've forged a key, I've got some Ember. My focus now is going to be on just taking out creatures. I'm going to be trying to clear my opponent's board, stop him just having any options. Now, Steven has a great board of creatures. This isn't the easiest thing to do. And it's Sanctum. And one of the great things about Sanctum is armor and taunt, and Sanctum are not the creatures you can take down easily. Untamed, yeah. Untamed tend to be quite weak, as do Shadows, although many of them have elusive. But Sanctum are Dis as well. Dis are very weak creatures. Big and beefy. Now, this is nice, ladies and gentlemen. Steven plays 2 copies of Nerve Blast in his deck. He actually, 3 copies in his deck. He manages to play 2 of them immediately, steal an Ember, do 2 damage to a creature, and because of the fighting, both of them were in range of being taken down. It's kind of the opposite of Relentless Whispers, which does damage and steals if you get a destruction going on. So down comes an Urchin. I think he's actually stolen all of Dan's Ember now. There is no more Ember to steal. Oh, that's a good turn from Steven. He did forge his key, and now he's up to 5 Ember, it looks like, very close to forging again, and Dan's entire field is Iron Obelisk Dust Pixie. That's it, that's all he's got. Incidentally, the reason he was fighting a moment ago with his creatures, his Brobnar creatures, was so that he could get the Iron Obelisk working. Unfortunately, it wasn't good enough. The forging got done. So Mimicry comes down here, and you can copy... Oh, he's actually Using Dust Pixie. Oh, I love this play. Using Dust Pixie to fight Bad Penny. Taking out Bad Penny going down itself so that he can play a regrowth Ember bonus to get back the Dust Pixie to get 2 more Ember. That's a wonderful play. Dan has really, but that is the 4th time that single Dust Pixie has hit the field to gain a double Ember bonus. Now, Dan does play a second one. He hasn't used it yet. That is 4 times. 2 Nature's Call, 1 Withered Hemp Seed, and 1 Regrowth. Dan is really getting a lot of mileage out of that single Dust Pixie here. That is quite beautiful. So, Stephen here, he's got a Logos turn. He's just reaping. Reaping with Mother, reaping with the other Mother, reaping with, I want to say, Dr. Escoterra, and just rolling. Just rolling. Getting a lot of Ember on the field. Now here comes a Wild Wormhole. Gains an Ember. Lets him play the top card of his deck, which happens to be one of them there Sanctum creatures. Gets straight onto the field, which is nice. Champion to Briss. When you fight, you capture an Ember. 6 power, 2 armor. So lots of good stuff going on from Steven here. This is really, really nice. This is awesome. And he's just... He's got this game plan where, actually having said that, Dan has just forged his second key. Steven's building up a good board. Steven's getting a lot of armor, but Dan's getting just enough Ember. And Dan is, well, he has done a pretty good job of clearing the field, but not so much now. Now we do get a stun coming down. That's Lady Maxina. Lady Maxina, of course, when you play it, you get to stun a creature. Chooses to stun Champion to Briss, which I don't blame him. Champion to Briss, 6 power, 2 armor. And when you fight, you capture an Ember. It's a little bit of a beast. Now, it does look like he's got his own upgrade having come down now, which is a Shield of Justice. No. To protect the weak gives you Taunt. Cool. Means you've got to go after them. So this is nice, ladies and gentlemen. This is pretty good. Now, Dan looks like he's only got 1 Ember, unfortunately, and Stephen has forged his second key. So we've got a good old-fashioned who can forge their 3rd key first. Now, the thing is, Stephen's actually got a bunch of Logos creatures, so he's gone for a Logos turn and just started reaping. Reap with Escoterra, reap with both his Mother. Does not look like... It looks like he's got 4 Ember there. Does not look like he's actually managed to end the turn with enough Ember, which is a little bit sad. So it looks like Steven's just going to have to chill for the time being. It's not the end of the world. And look, don't forget, he's still got those 2 Mother down. He's still getting a double card advantage at the end of every turn. That's still wonderful. Now, we do actually see a Whispering Reliquary. Yes, that is, on Dan's side of the field here. And it's another one of these cards. It's just hating on the Pent Seed. Both these players have got several things to stop the library access and the Pent Seed combination. We see fighting here. Dust Pixie is fighting. Does he have another way to get it back? And there's an action. Now, what he's actually doing is he's using Lady Maxina's action to put it back into the hand so that he can play it down and stun a creature. But what a great play here. Glorious Few. For each creature your opponent controls in excess of you, gain an Ember. So he's actually using Lady Maxina to go back to his hand, and it looks like there's 8 creatures to 1. That just got Dan 7 Ember in one go. He's now playing a Cleansing Wave, and that heals off 1 damage from his Mother, and it gets him an Ember at the same time. And this is a great turn. Sanctum is not usually a house which is known for getting many Ember all at once, but that's what Dan's doing here. I mean, Stephen needs his bait and switch in the worst possible way. Now, the good news is he's got himself a Poison Wave, which does 2 damage to each creature. Needs to be careful. There is still an Iron Obelisk out, but the good news is there are no Brobnar creatures. Otherwise, each 1 damage would increase the cost of forging by 1, and that would be a very bad thing. Don't know how I feel about using metal coins as damage counters, because they might dent your cards. And remember, if you damage 1 card in your deck, you can never play that deck again. So that makes me a little bit nervous here. I don't know if I would be risking that personally. But it's not up to me, so who really cares what I think? Now we see that third Nerve Blast. Capture an Ember, deal 2 damage to a creature. The fact that he started stealing means that he's not got bait and switch. And it looks like we've got 9... Oh! Now there's one of his 2 copies of Miasma. Miasma makes your opponent skip their Forge a Key step next turn. And Steven's just played one of his 2 Miasma. So it doesn't matter how much Ember Dan's got, he ain't forging next turn, ladies and gentlemen. There's been some good plays. I mean, did you notice here how he did the damage with his Dust Pixie, or KO'd his Dust Pixie, just so he could set up his Glorious Few play? That was amazing. Such a good play. Oh, and Dan's conceding. As much Ember as he had, Steven drops Miasma. Dan's not able to forge a key next turn. Steven's sitting there with 7 Ember. Dan looks at his hand and his field and goes, I can't stop you forging next turn. And it's over. Miasma literally won Steven the game. That was a wonderful game of Keyforge. Dan had some amazing plays. His Glorious Few, after KOing his Dust Pixie the previous turn, and then picking up his Lady Maxina was amazing. Then playing Cleansing Wave to get another Ember was great. But at the end of the day, Steven drops the Miasma, and there's nothing that can be done. And as much Ember as Dan had, there's nothing he could do. I enjoyed that very much. I hope you guys did as well. Now, just a quick note for those that have been asking. My Keyforge videos have been a little bit slow lately because Transformers have been spoiling Wave 3 and it's been very busy. But with Keyforge coming out in about 2 weeks, there are going to be a lot of videos about the new set. Plus, we've got several more rounds of Denver to go. So don't worry your pretty little heads about it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know what the deal is. Get in the comment section, tell me how much you enjoyed that game. I assume it was a lot. And then go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at @TheWossy, where we talk about games like Keyforge and a whole bunch of others. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.